Hey, what's up guys? Moto's G series has always delivered phones with great value for the money, and this year's Plus model is looking to top them all. I'm Will for GSM Arena, and this is our Moto G6 Plus review. The Moto G6 Plus looks and feels quite nice for a mid-range phone. The back is made of Gorilla Glass and it really shines when it catches the light. It does catch a lot of fingerprints too. The main attraction on the backside is the round camera bump. With its dual cameras and flash underneath, it really does look like a surprised emoji. The glass curves into the rounded edges, lending a pretty comfortable grip. The edge is made of plastic though, so not totally premium. And this phone isn't really waterproof either, though it does have some water-repellent coating over the electronics inside. The fingerprint reader is front-mounted and always ready to wake up your phone. You can use the reader for navigation too. Swipe right to switch between recent apps. Swipe left to go back, and tap to go home. On top of that, a long press will summon the Google Assistant, while pressing and holding it for just a second will lock the screen. The two overlap, so it can be a bit tricky at first. The Moto G6 Plus is a 5.9-inch IPS LCD with an 18:9 aspect ratio, just a hair bigger than the screen on the regular G6. Blacks are reasonably deep and the screen is quite bright, almost 800 nits with auto brightness mode turned on. You'll have no problem using this phone out in the sun. There are plenty of color options to choose from in settings. There is a choice between standard and vivid mode as well as a color temperature slider. We found the warmest setting to produce really accurate colors. And instead of a notification LED, there's Moto Display, but it only lights up when the new notification comes in or if the phone detects your hand. For audio, there's a single front-firing speaker on the Moto G6 Plus located in the bezel above the display. It's also used as the earpiece for phone calls. Speaker output is surprisingly loud and there's no distortion at max volume. You also have a lot of control through Dolby Audio, which lets you choose among sound presets for the phone or tweak your own EQ. Headphones can be plugged in through a 3.5mm jack at the bottom next to the USB-C port. The sound quality blew us away in our tests. It's excellent, rivaling even flagship phones. The UI of the Moto G6 Plus is stock Android 8.0 Oreo, with just a few Moto features sprinkled in. These include the fingerprint reader navigation as well as other gestures you can enable in the Moto Actions app. You have to rely on Google's apps for pretty much everything else. The Moto G6 Plus is a Snapdragon 630 chipset, a step up from the Snapdragon 450 in the regular G6. In benchmarks, the G6 Plus performs well, not spectacular, but comparable to other mid-rangers with a 625 or 630. Our model has 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. There is a version with 6 and 128 also available. Storage is expandable in either case. The battery is 3200 mAh, and battery life is decent, but not outstanding. While the chipset is power efficient, this phone did draw a lot of power in standby for some reason. In our proprietary battery tests, it earned a 70-hour endurance rating. With the 15-watt turbo power fast charger, charging isn't lightning fast, but it's still decent. We got from 0 to 38% in half an hour. The Moto G6 Plus has a 12-megapixel main cam with dual pixel autofocus, but no OIS. The 5-megapixel secondary camera in the setup is only used for depth detection in portrait mode. Manual mode allows you to adjust focus, pick a white balance preset, change shutter speed and ISO, and choose exposure compensation. Unfortunately, our review unit arrived with misaligned optics, so corner softness is more pronounced than usual. To judge quality, we had to go with what's in the center of the image. But looking at this, daylight images from the Moto G6 Plus turn out quite alright, with decent detail and nice colors. Dynamic range is a bit narrow though, and there is some visible noise. One cool proprietary mode is Spot Color. It lets you capture only a certain color from the spectrum, leaving the rest of the photo black and white. Switching to portrait mode allows you to defocus the background behind your subject. You can adjust the level of blur with a slider. Edge detection around faces is pretty accurate. In low light, shots look pretty good. They're sharp and detailed with lifelike colors and low noise. The 8-megapixel selfie cam does a good job too, with decent detail and pleasing skin tones. Though it doesn't have autofocus, so getting a sharp image is a little more difficult. The Moto G6 Plus can record 4K video at 30 FPS. 4K footage is sharp and detailed, with no noise, vivid colors, and high contrast. Sound recording isn't the best though. At 1080p, videos look good too, nice and detailed. And at 30 FPS they have stabilization, which works alright. So, the Moto G6 Plus. For around €300 you get a phone with a super bright display, decent chipset, awesome audio quality, and a pretty good camera. The only real drawback is that battery life isn't stellar, but overall there isn't a lot to complain about here, and this phone is easy to recommend. Thanks for watching. Hit like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And you can always stop by gsmarena.com for our full test findings. See ya!